Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Head 2. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So yesterday I did, and this was on Saturday, I did a video on the late Pete Rose. He did not, obviously, he has had sort of a storied career and an infamous life. And, on late Friday night, President Donald Trump issued a statement on Truth Social. And let me read you this again. Major League Baseball didn't have the courage or decency to put the late, great Pete Rose, also known as Charlie Hustle, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now he is dead. Will never experience the thrill of being selected, even though he was a far better player than most of those who made it, and can only be named posthumously. What a shame. Anyway, over the next few weeks, I'll be signing a complete pardon of Pete Rose, who shouldn't have been gambling on baseball, but only bet on his team winning. He never betted against himself or the other team. He had the most hits by far in baseball history and won more games than anyone in sports history. Baseball, which is dying all over the place, should get off its fat, lazy ass and elect Pete Rose, even though far too late, into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, he put this out late Friday night. I did not see it. Well, late Saturday, as I was doing the video for you on this channel, baseball, there was an article that went out by ESPN. I guess the family of Pete Rose and Pete Rose's lawyer has been sort of advocating to the president to do something about this, and the commissioner's office jumped. They had to. You couldn't have stayed quietly this quickly. This is from, again, MLB Trade Rumors. Commissioner's office considered petition to remove Pete Rose from an eligible list. Now, Pete put himself on that list back in 1989 because he said he didn't want, the agreement with him and Bar Giamatti was that if he put himself on that list, he knew that he was going to be ineligible for everything, but he put himself on that list because he didn't want the whole truth to come out about his gambling. Well, Pete reneged on the deal, complained, and then everything came out anyway. But anyway, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has considered a petition filed by the family of Pete Rose to have Rose posthumously reinstated from the ineligible list, according to a report from Don Van Natta Jr. of ESPN. Rose passed away in September at the age of 83, and Van Natta notes that the petition was filed on January 8th, following a conversation between Rose's daughter Fawn, the family's lawyer, and the commissioner's office that took place on December 17th. The timing of the report is notable given that President Donald Trump commented on Rose late last night. This was on Friday, suggesting that he would sign a posthumous pardon for Rose in the coming weeks. Quasim Naiman and Michael S. Schmidt of the New York Times were among those who reported on Mr. Trump's comments this morning. Such a pardon would have no bearing on Rose's status within the game of baseball, and Naiman and Schmidt note that it would instead focus on a 5-month sentence Rose served in federal prison back in 1990 after filing false income tax returns. Now, what that will do is this will highlight Rose, okay? The fans loved Pete Rose, okay? The fans love Pete Rose, and the fans, every year you go when you go to the day that they bring in the new induction day, there's always a little note that somebody puts down, Pete Rose Hall of Fame. The fans always wanted Pete in the Hall of Fame because they knew a great player. One of the most famous players in the history of the game. So this is more of a fan thing. And Major League Baseball knows that, and the people around Rose knows that if President Trump talks about it, everybody's going to talk about it. This starts the ball rolling, okay? Start talking about this. And I said this in the previous video, 2 wrongs don't make it right. We know Pete did a lot of bad stuff, mostly to himself and his family. But baseball keeping him out for all that time, well, that was wrong. Tax issues, of course, are not the reason that Rose is currently on baseball's permanently ineligible list. MLB announced late in the 1989 season that an investigation had revealed Rose had placed bets on baseball, including games his team was participating in during his time as manager of the Reds. Subsequent reporting in the decades following Rose's placement on the ineligible list indicate that Rose also placed bets during his time as a player. Rose never admitted to those allegations, though he did acknowledge that he had bet on baseball as a manager in 2004. Now, the gambling that was being investigated was when he was a manager, okay? Baseball knew that he was a major gambler. He was always going to the racetrack, always gambling, always. They always knew that. But obviously, he had control of the game. And he always hung out with shady characters. Rose only bet on his team to win, and there's no evidence that he made an attempt to fix any MLB game. Even so, that's a violation of MLB's biggest rule and grounds for a lifetime ban, leading the league to place Rose in the permanent. Now, Pete put himself there. They got this all screwed up. Not long after Rose's ban in 1991, the Hall of Fame announced a policy stating that anyone who was suspended from MLB for life was ineligible for induction. As such, Rose has never been on a Hall of Fame ballot. There's little question a lifetime 303 hitter with the most career hits in MLB history and a 79.5 baseball reference WAR would be a slam dunk candidate for induction of looking exclusively at his numbers on the field. Ever since Rose's suspension, the Hit King's worthiness for the Hall of Fame induction has been a divisive topic among fans of the game. It hasn't been divisive with the fans at all. It's been through the media. The media has been the ones that have kept him out. They're the ones that have caused the problem. They're the ones. And the stubbornness of Major League Baseball, quite frankly. Bart Giamatti had a lot of friends. He still has a lot of friends that are still in baseball. But I'm sorry, enough is enough, okay? He should have been put in right before he passed. There was no reason. He remains a controversial figure, however, particularly in an era with the Hall's voters made the controversial decision not to elect other titans of the game, such as Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, to Cooperstown in light of association with the league's performance-enhancing drug scandal, and baseball has had to reckon with the increased presence of sports betting, not only within the U.S. culture, but also as a partner of MLB and his club. That's a big issue. Now, talk about Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Those guys were Hall of Fame players before they were doing anything. And it was jealousy and really pride that made them take that stuff. Because they saw guys that were not nearly as good as them doing it. And that's why they took it. I know that with Bonds, particularly, was pissed off about McGuire and Sosa. But anyway, back to Pete. Pete did his time. Pete was not a perfect guy. Nobody's perfect. But like the president said in the True Social post that he put out, there are players on the Hall of Fame. They're in the Hall of Fame that not even half the player that Pete was. And they're there. They weren't the winners that Pete was. He made his teams better. There's so many players on that list that are in Cooperstown that don't deserve to be there. Joe Mauer is a great player. He's a catcher, but he's not Pete Rose. Howard Baines, how he got in is beyond me. He shouldn't be there. That's my opinion. And then you have a guy like Scott Rowland, first ballot Hall of Famer. How? When he was probably not the best third baseman of his era? It makes no sense. Major League Baseball and the writers in particular have a very unequal look at the world. I did not like the fact that a lot of the writers, if not most of the writers, tried to browbeat the guy that didn't vote for Ichiro this past year. Why do you have a vote? Okay? And why is it secret? You don't, if you want it not to be secret, it's either a yes or a no. It's not a yes or no question when they put out the ballot. For the most part, it's not a situation where is it important? Why browbeat the guy? Why bully the guy? And say, I want to talk to him. It's none of your business, okay? There's a reason why you make a secret so that you're not bullying people. And I would mention Miguel Cabrera, he will not be unanimous. I know he's got great numbers, but people could state to the beginning part of his career he was a bit of a dog. But his attitude was not great with the Marlins. Just use him as an example. Now, Ichiro, and it doesn't really matter about these. Well, anyway, I'm getting off track. Pete Rose deserves to be there. He should have been there a long time ago. Now, I would mention that Pete was always in Las Vegas. He was always in Atlantic City. So I'm assuming the president knew him. I'm going to assume that the president knew him from his days in Atlanta, in Atlantic City, and in Las Vegas. They probably crossed paths a lot. And President Trump is a big baseball fan. And he's probably a big admirer of Pete. And the fact that he put this comment out, and he's going to pardon him for tax evasion. And it raises tax evasion on his gambling winnings. It's basically what it's going to be. And like I said in the beginning of this video, the person that Pete hurt the most was himself, and he hurt his family. I mean, really. I will also mention on the side, the year after Pete left, and they put Lou Piniella in there to win the World Series, the Reds. They've not won a World Series in 35 years, but that was the last time they won a World Series, was the year Pete left. So let's be fair. Even though Pete, there was no he didn't gamble against his team and bet against his team. Obviously, it was a distraction. If you watch the documentary on Pete, Charlie Hustle, the mayor of Pete Rose, Eduardo Perez, the son of Tony Perez, the Hall of Famer. I would mention Tony Perez is in the Hall of Fame. He's not half the player that Pete was, okay? And in all fairness. But Eduardo Perez said during the documentary that at one point, Pete was so into the, wanting to know what was going on with the horse racing, that he would send Eduardo down to the clubhouse to tell him when the race was going to start. And Pete would go down and watch the race. And when the race was over, he'd come back and watch the game. So it obviously was a distraction. But I just want to be fair because, but it didn't affect, games or anything like that. But he was distracted. That's for sure. And it's a shame that and again, the main takeaway from this, if there's anything, is that two wrongs, they don't make a right. And unfortunately, the fans of Pete Rose will not get a chance to see him have his day. And he did say during this documentary, they'll probably put me in after I'm gone. And that's probably what's going to happen. Pete will go in, as the president will probably mention it, and mention it, and mention it. He will bring it up again. He will not let up. And I don't think, and they kind of glossed over it, but I'm sure they let them know in the commissioner's office that the president was going to mention it, that he was going to get a pardon for what he did with the taxes. But let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2, and I'll see you later.